Right. So listeners sent this one in, and I got to admit, it's got me a little creeped out, not going to lie. We're diving into, well, it's not exactly a case, more like a theory. The Smiley Face Killers.
Yeah, definitely heard of this one. It's been around for a while, hasn't it? Intriguing for sure.
Right. And that's why we're doing a deep dive.
Right.
Because on the surface, it sounds, well, kind of out there, but there's enough to make you wonder, you know.
Totally get it. The idea of this pattern of deaths, young guys always ending up drowned, and then that link to, get this, smiley face graffiti.
Chilling, right. So for anyone who's maybe not familiar, we're talking about basically this theory that there's, well, either one killer or maybe even a whole group who target these, like you said, young men, usually white, athletic, often last seen at a bar, had a few drinks.
Right, so scenario that's sadly not that uncommon on its own, right? I mean, statistically speaking.
Exactly, and that's where the whole debate comes in. But the theory says it's not just tragic accidents. Gannon and Duarte, these retired detectives, they're the ones who really brought it to light. They think these guys are abducted, maybe drugged, murdered, and then staged to look like drownings.
And to be fair to them, it wasn't just like a hunch. They did a lot of supposedly, investigation. These deaths happened over a pretty long period too, right?
Yeah, we're talking almost 20 years here, like 1997 to 2017. So not exactly a small window, which I guess adds to the whole, like, conspiracy feeling of it.
Oh, for sure. And that's where the smiley faces come in.
Yeah.
Because it's not enough to just have, similar victims, but then you add the graffiti and it's like, boom, calling card.
Totally. And Gannon and Duarte claim to have found this smiley face tag near a bunch of the death scenes. Though, gotta say, even just saying it out loud, it does sound kind of thin, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, and that's where the FBI comes in. Because they looked into it, and they basically said, nope, no consistent evidence. I mean, think about it. Drownings, especially with alcohol involved, those are tragically common.
True. So is the FBI saying it's definitely not true crime? Or is there still, I don't know, wiggle room?
That's the thing with these kind of theories, right? The Center for Homicide Research, they did a whole report on this, analyzed tons of drownings. Didn't matter if there were smiley faces or not. They couldn't find any hard links, like geographically or MO, nothing concrete.
So if the evidence is so shaky, why do we find this theory, well, so fascinating? Why does it stick with us?
I think, honestly, it's human nature. We're wired to look for patterns, explanations, especially when something feels random or scary. And the smiley face killer theory, even without solid proof, it gives a sense of order, I guess. Like, even if it's a scary thought, there's someone behind it, someone leaving the mark,
It's true. And you can't forget about the families of the victims. Some of them believe it too, right? I mean, they lost someone. And the idea that it might not just be a random accident, that there might be someone accountable, it makes sense that they'd cling to that. We've gone through the details, the patterns, the official skepticism. But with the smiley face killer theory, there's no neat answer. It's like, are we seeing a conspiracy, or are we tricking ourselves into seeing connections that aren't really there? And that's part of what makes it such a good deep dive topic.
Yep. Totally. I mean, if you were investigating this, right, what would actually convince you? What kind of evidence would make you go, yep, it's real, or nope, just a bunch of tragic coincidences?
Makes you think. And that's what we like to do here on The Deep Dive. Big thanks to our listeners for sending in this topic. It might not have all the answers, but it definitely makes you think twice about those smiley faces. Stay curious, everybody, and we'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.